Maybe we
Okay.
don't. Did it work?
Yes. So
Okay,
we
good.
are now recording to the cloud. So welcome everyone to the monthly acquisitions user group and special interest group meeting, where we get to talk about all our favorite things in acquisitions. We've got Judy, Jill, Christy, Cindy, Carol, Barbara, Tina, Jason, and myself, Margaret, here today. So thank you all for turning out. I know it's been a very busy week, but we're all here on Happy St. Patrick's Day, so we can chat about acquisitions and focus on that area of the library. So Rhonda, unfortunately, or fortunately, has a meeting with her architect about their new library building, so she's really looking forward to that one, but is unable to join us for this meeting. But she says she'll definitely be here next month. So what acquisitions related questions or bugs have y'all brought to this meeting? And I have the chat open, so if you want to type it in, if you don't have a working microphone, I'll read them off. And we have Hasina typing in the chat.
I have a question, I guess. Is there a way for the hold to be automatically placed on a purchase suggestion?
Hold to be automatically placed on a purchase suggestion. I want to say, yeah. I think there's a setting for that. I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
Does anyone else know off the top of their head?
I'm new to this, and I've been doing it manually. I just started this week, actually, but that's how I was trained. So if there was an automatic way to do it, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Might be a bug on it. I'll check out bugs first, but might be in the manual because I know I've heard that before. It's definitely on several people's wish lists. While I'm looking that one up, Judy in the chat asks, I'd like to know how everyone keeps track of spending. What kind of reports do you use from Koha, or what other means do you use? So it's a better question for y'all.
Can we respond to that?
Yeah, please speak up.
Oh, okay. So again, being new, you'll have to forgive me, but we actually have budgets that we set up at the beginning of each fiscal year, and within those budgets there are different fund codes. So we'll start with the total amount, whatever that may be for the fiscal year, and then what I understand Koha does is it will tell you like how much you've ordered, how much you have left, But at the beginning of each new fiscal year, we have to start with a blank slate, so basically duplicate the budget and put in our new numbers. The one thing I understand that sometimes we are in a place where we have to switch funds from one fund to another because like adult DVDs have been depleted. So what you have to do is, unfortunately with Koha, what I've understood is we have to go into the total budget, add to the total, and then switch them. Does that make sense? Or is there another, because we can't just switch them within the budget because they'll say we don't have enough funds? Does that ring true to anyone, or is someone else doing this differently?
Barbara in the chat shares, at the end of the fiscal year, we still have outstanding orders. We will roll these over into the new fiscal year with fiscal close. But when we have a lot of things pending, it makes it very difficult to know what our actual balances are. How do other libraries handle this? So that's another question. Judy also asks, do you find Koha reports accurate, including shipping, tax, processing, etc.? So, Christy, I do think you're doing it right, but it is a little taxing. We discussed in a few previous meetings a enhancement to Koha for better logging on budget changes, fund changes, and I've seen that one come up for a quote at Bywater for development. And I think koha-US is looking at it as one of the enhancements they're considering funding this year. So there's some stuff in the works on it, but not currently available in the client.
Yeah, and I will jump in here. I just got onto the backside of our little development form here, and adding logs for budgets and funds is one of the developments that is going to be coming up for a vote soon. So that's something that koha-US is hoping to help fund if it gets voted in.
No, there's a lot of people that would love some more logging, metadata about acquisitions, actions. So I like Koha reports, but doesn't always mean they're the most accurate, but I do think they are pretty accurate depending on how you're asking the question. But I also don't get a whole lot of requests for acquisition specific reports. Is there somebody who's written a fair few of those or wants to speak to any fun quirks about acquisitions, tables, and reports from the group? Christie B is chiming in with another question. For any standing orders and automatic orders that are pending after the fiscal year closes, we need to zero out the prices. Is there a way around this? What reports are useful? Does anyone want to chime in with suggestions, useful reports that they've used in the last fiscal year?
I feel really useless because we don't use acquisitions at all. So I'm just like absorbing things, but I can put a link into for the reports wiki to acquisition reports. Maybe that'll help a little.
Of course, that was going to be my suggestion. There might be some useful ones in there. There's also Mana, if you set up your Koha instance to use that, and where there's some libraries sending their suite of reports to Mana, so you might find some good ones in there too. And for those that don't know, MANA is the Koha knowledge base for reports sharing and serials enumeration formula sharing. So there's a bit of news on the Koha community sites, a few other vendor sites that talk about that. But it doesn't have a specific plugin to acquisitions yet.
Is it true that you guys still have to do something on the back end to turn on Mana, or are we all set up to just toggle it on?
So if you're using Koha with Bywater, there's a little back end thing for us to do. And if you're working with another vendor, or if you are supporting yourself with your own IT team, just check in with your support team or administrators there. But there's system settings on the front end, and I do believe there is a switch to flip on the back end as well. Those instructions are in the Koha manual. So skipping back a couple of questions about the automatically placing a hold. There is one bug to allow the librarian to choose a patron when entering a purchase suggestion. That might be not quite what we're looking for. But I added it to the chat, and let me go sleuthing around a little bit more. And then if anyone wants to jump into the chat or unmute themselves and share some suggestions about handling end of year, fiscal year close reports, that would be super useful. And it does look like there's a few people still joining us. Awesome. Don't be afraid to unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and chime in with suggestions. Ooh, Hasina's got a good question. When you delete an item, does that remove the item's cost from the budget? And Hasina, can I assume you're talking about when you delete an item from the order basket, not deleting it out once you've already added it to your catalog? So. Oh, from the basket and from the catalog. Good question. I'd like to say yes when it comes to deleting it from the basket, but I'm not so sure about the catalog. So I'll be taking notes on all these questions. And I think it'd be really helpful to ask around a little bit. But we can send out a little Q&A or maybe post it with this meeting if we're not able to satisfactorily answer these questions in the space of this hour. But I'm not liking it. So don't hesitate to chime in if you know more about acquisitions than myself or Jason do. We're just emceeing this meeting. So Hasina concurs from the basket, deleting the item, removes the item cost from the budget makes sense, but the catalog, she has a question. So Barbara shares, when you delete an item or bib from the catalog that has an attached order record, I think you get a big warning that makes it sound like deleting it will cause a bib problem. We've deleted the items anyways and haven't seen a problem. So cool, thank you for sharing, Barbara. I want to say that used to be a bug, but has since been fixed, but it still warns you. So I'm not finding what I was hoping to find regarding the purchase suggestions and automatically placing a hold. I've been looking around. So I'll take that question and see if I can dig in a little bit more, if there's an enhancement out there on that one. And I'll reply to the list later. All right. So is that Michael, who shared, for the most part, they're watching and learning. We're looking more at implementing this when you migrate. No, Melissa, sorry about that. Melissa is looking at implementing this when she migrates. Does anyone have a procedure, best practice that they're willing to share? All right, so I think that's a decent transition over to talking about the listserv and some communication updates. Rhonda and I have been working on mailing lists since one of our first meetings. The group's been talking about what's the best way to communicate digitally outside of our monthly meetings. And we tried a Google group. That was, we tested out a listserv with Bibleaf, who were generously hosting it for us. But that's been a little harder to manage than we'd like, and the target of a lot of spam, which is rather annoying to manage. So koha-US has made space amongst their special interest groups for acquisitions and offered up another Google group. And the settings are nice. You don't have to have a Google email to get notified on it or correspond. So if you all were already signed up for the Koha acquisitions listserv, you should have gotten an email last week from Rhonda and I that we got you signed up for the Google group one as well. So I can give everyone a little quick tour of that. But we're just trying and seeing what sticks, where we get the most forum communications and ease of management for all that, and keeping the spammers trying to sell you gold from Nigeria and Princess out.
But imagine how many developments you could pay for with all that gold.
I know, if only that wasn't fool's gold. That'd be great. So, do we have any other responses to questions or questions to ask?
So I will just pop this in there. As far as workflows and stuff, we've got different sections of the koha-US website with different like curated content. Most of the things on this page are Bywater videos about acquisitions. There are a few presentations there as well from past conferences. So it might be a good place to get started at least. And there's a link to joining this group if you're not joined joined into the Google group there on that page as well, and a link to the manual.
Cool, thank you, Jason. All right, so I'll share my screen really quickly to just talk about that Google group transition again. So it's called Acquisition Special Interest Group, where you can join it, and all the topics are visible here. You don't need a Google email or Gmail to use it and get signed up. And we can, by we, Rhonda, myself, anyone else can help you get signed up.
Oh yeah, it's working.
Sorry, I'm accidentally talking over someone. All right. So next up on this is to throw up some of the topics that we had previously recorded in the listserv. Some topics from this meeting. I'll make a FAQ and we'll post our monthly meeting reminders here. And of course, all the other listservs, just so you know. Attract more people from different Koha listservs to talk about acquisitions and get passionate about it. So I can't really show you what the join link looks like since I've already joined. But if anyone has questions about that, I'll email out into the listserv world with instructions.
And just so when you click the link, if you're not joined, there should be just a button up at the top under where it says Acquisition Special Interest Group, somewhere around in there that'll say Join Group, and then it'll pop up a little window so you can add yourself. And if you have trouble adding yourself, you can contact Margaret or Rhonda, or send an email to info@koha-US and we can get you signed up. Do you know what the address is for that group?
So I believe googlegroups.com or groups.google.com, koha-us.org, forums, more characters, forums,
let me clarify. Do you know what the email address is? So like if somebody wants to send a message to it.
Yes, but I don't know it off the top of my head. I believe it's acquisitions-sig@koha-us.org.
Okay, I think that's right. Like the very end of that URL is the front of the email address.
Yeah. I'll add that to chat. That should be right. Let me double check my email real quick. Yep, acquisitions dash SIG at koha-us or koha-us.org. And of course, there's the Koha general list, koha-US list, by Word Partners list, and many listservs out there. So if you need to get in contact with anyone, you can always hit up those. All right. So while I was rambling about that, Hasina asks another question. When we place an order, it seems to show available to the patron that but it doesn't for staff. Is there a way to hide it? So showing as available. Are your orders marked -1, not for loan, because they're in an order status. Oh, your staff doesn't want that. Okay. Anyone in the group have suggestions?
So it's probably showing available in the OPAC. I guess there might be a way to do that with jQuery if your on order record is marked as on order somehow.
Yeah, you can mark an item and use OPAC hidden items to hide it, depending on the item type, category code, location, other authorized values. So we can hide them from the OPAC. Not entirely, that would probably make that work. Patrons wouldn't be asking about available items because they wouldn't be seeing them in the first place. Does that answer the question, Hasina? Okay, so if an item, they say not for loan is one of those authorized values, and not for loan on order is one that I see pretty frequently across different Koha systems. And you can drill down in your OPAC hidden items selection to tell it don't show items that are on order because they're not here yet. So don't go placing holds on them.
And another option, if they don't want to use that not for loan status, you could make like a shelf location or collection code or something and hide that with OPAC hidden items. And you could set that to transition to a different item type using the automated, I forget what the tool is called, but
Yeah,
you can set a time period where after a certain amount of time, it'll flip over to a different shelf location so that then it becomes available. So that might automate some processes.
All right, so we are still having a few people join us. I see Jeannie and Monique. Thanks for joining us. So we're just going around the group asking and I'm trying to answer some acquisitions related questions. This meeting's being recorded, so if you missed out on the first half, we will be posting that online later this week, so you can rewatch or share with colleagues.
And I think Hasina was asking for a link directly to the Google group, so I'll post that in the chat as well.
Thanks, Jason.
So you can click that and then join if you're not already a part of the group.
Cool. More questions? Don't hesitate to unmute and speak up too. Jeannie asks in the chat, is anyone else closed to the public? So a number of libraries that are Bywater partners are closed due to COVID-19 virus concerns. And follow-up question is, are you changing your ordering workflows if you're closed? I think that's a very good question. Anyone in the group have suggestions or what they're doing? Los Gatos concurs that they're closed to the public. Cecile said that Washoe is closed. Barbara shares that they're closed and doing holds pickup via drive-up window, but hasn't changed the ordering habits yet. Judy shares that they're still doing ordering. Melissa shares that our library is closed. We haven't changed workflow, but they are offering drive-up pickup service for holds. Judy follows up that they are still ordering, but can't receive items. Yeah, I suspect the supply chain is pretty impacted from those vendors. Christie shares that the Monterey Public Library is closed to the public. They're continuing to do ordering and receiving for acquisitions. Their doors are, Monique shares that their doors are closed, but are working, and the budget has been frozen for about a month. She's been working on serials, since that is also an area of responsibility, but there aren't any items going in and out of the library. And Washoe follows up with they are ordering and not receiving. Barbara shares that her library is trying to educate everyone on the available digital resources, with a ditto from Judy and Jenny. So it's up in the chat a little bit. I believe Cindy, you logged into the Google group, but you want to know how to join the group. Do you feel comfortable sharing your screen and we can walk through that process? If not, I can do a little demo of that. 1 second. I'll get a browser that I'm not currently logged into the Google group spun up.
Oh, hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Oh, yes, yes, you can share. Yeah, I type the shares. Can you see?
No, you're not sharing your screen just yet.
Okay. Now it should be fine.
So
Yes.
in Zoom, there should be a ribbon of options kind of at the bottom of the window, from your microphone to your video, and then right about in the middle is one that's called share. It's a rectangle with an arrow pointing up.
Yeah, so share my...
You'll want to click the share and then confirm which window, the desktops or the applications that you want us to be able to see. And then hit share.
Yes, I put it in the desktop, but okay, let me see. So yeah, I clicked the sharing, but I yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I clicked the sharing, but it looks like it didn't work. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, I click the sharing screen and then the desktop, and then I click the sharing again, and then open. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, now I click to the, I get permission to sharing, but let me see. I don't know what.
That's all right. Let me share.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. You skip to another topic. I don't waste.
No, let me share my screen. So I usually end up going to koha-US.org special interest group. Acquisitions is at the top of the page first, as it should be. and there's a join button right here.
You send me this link.
So when I click on that, I am getting an error message, Jason, that says you do not have permission to access this content, which is strange.
That may be a setting that needs changed, and I don't have enough experience with the back end of the Google Groups to know what that is.
Okay.
Try clicking on one of the other groups just to see if it does that for you on something else.
Yeah, because I clicked on it before and it worked pretty much just fine.
Yeah, that's what it should look like.
This is what it should look like when you go to that link, join the group. So sorry about that, everyone. I'll dig into it with Rhonda and we'll take a look at the settings. In the meantime, if you send me your email address or just post it in the chat right now, I'll ask Rhonda to get you added because she's got the permissions for that. But this is what it should look like, and we'll get it looking like that a little later this week.
Yeah, and Lizette set up the rest of the group, so if you need assistance on figuring out exactly which checkbox to check, she'll know what to do.
Perfect.
Margaret, Jason, is possible to send the link? You just inform us the link. You click the join in the link. It's possible to send to the chat box. The link you just used to join in the group. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the link that she just clicked, but it's broken right now, so we'll get it fixed.
Okay.
Yeah. So
She's have another link when she click that shows like a join the group. The link like acquisition catalog everything. Is that?
yeah, that link is available at.
Yeah, I gotcha. There, special interest groups. That's the one.
Oh, yeah, yes. Okay, let me try this. I need a permission. Okay.
So don't worry about that. I'll get that squared away with Rhonda. These mailing lists are just so much fun to try and get configured correctly. Thank you all for hanging in there while we delicately stumble our way through the process.
Yeah, I did send my email to you. L1LI. Thank you.
Perfect. If you post your email in the Zoom chat, I will take that and make sure they get added to the group. And I'll take the other notes from the chat, questions we asked and answered, and formulate that into an email to send out, along with a link to this recording. Cool, Christy. I'll take care of that. Cool. Thanks, Cecile. Got it. All right. Thank you all for sharing your emails. Got those noted down. So feel free to throw a few more in there if you want. All right. Next round of questions. We've got about 19 minutes left on the hour, and I want to respect everyone's time. And Hasina asks, can anyone share how other libraries are promoting digital resources while libraries are being closed at this time? So Judy shares that her library is using Facebook. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are being used by Jenny's library. So social media is a really popular one. I'd also throw out, if you're using MailChimp, Constant Contact, or any of the other newsletter services, that's a good place to share links in emails. And you can get all the emails of whatever patron categories or patrons in good standing out of Koha, and then copy paste or upload a text file to a lot of those MailChimp Constant Contact newsletter providers. And there's some reports on the wiki that are, here's patron information, here's the email. So that's pretty quick and easy to do. You can also use the OPAC news feature to post something right big center on your OPAC and say that the library's physical collection's unavailable right now, but the digital collection's wide open. And share those links if you aren't already posting those on the top of your OPAC page or library webpage. Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have any other suggestions? I suppose if you're getting really creative about it and your local municipality has a library section on their website, you could reach out to the city's admin team or county's admin team and talk about people going to find out more information in the community, especially about closing things down, and have a link to bounce people out to your library website there. That would be about as creative as I can think of right now.
What about like a skywriting plane?
If you've got any aviators at your disposal with kind of planes and also banners, you could certainly do that. I haven't seen one of those in ages. But yeah, that'd be good. And messenger pigeons. We can't forget about the messenger pigeons. All right. Other questions or anything acquisitions related? Or anything fun that's helping you get through some of these kind of crazy, kind of difficult library times. Don't hesitate to put anything comical in the acquisitions special interest group Google group messaging system. I'm sure we could all do for a little bit of levity every once in a while this week. I think we might have exhausted our pool of questions. I know we have a few that haven't been satisfactorily answered, so I'll take those and do a little bit of research on them. Anyone else is also invited to as well. And I'll post those to our mailing lists, and then we can help answer them as a group, post a few replies. And then any other suggestions you all have regarding acquisitions and library closures, don't hesitate to document them. That's great information to save for right now or a later date. Our next meeting is going to be a month from now, third Tuesday of April. That's going to be the 21st. So I'll send out a reminder email, or Rhonda will send out a reminder email as well in advance of that meeting. And if that is all the questions and all the housekeeping, then I suppose we can get wrapped up. Are there any other questions that have come to anyone's minds or any other suggestions, fun stuff to share before we wrap up for today? All right, I think that might be it. Thank you, everyone. I will stop the recording now.